TPR.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 113. Yes, I am wearing the same clothes as I did in last week's episode's intro. Today's episode is something we've been working on, or well, not really working on, but thinking of for a while. It is a podcast panel similar to the YouTube panel we did back in December. I was interested in doing a panel episode with a few podcasters who I follow, who I'm interested in, and just talking about, their origin stories and then our joint experience in the year or so that podcasting has really established itself in Pakistani new media. So we've got Kazi from Kahe Ga Kazi, we've got Uzair from Pakistonomy, and then we also have Daniyal Nasser from On The Mic. We talked about a few things about, how the experience has been over the past year. Do people care? Formats. This is a really, if you're nerdy about podcasting, this is the sort of episode you'd be into. So we hope you enjoy. It's a great insight into the minds of all these people, and hopefully we'll do more. This is just going to be another one of the panel episodes we do. So yeah, without further ado, episode 113, the 2021 TPR Podcast Panel. I'm just looking at the different screens and the variety available.
There is variety.
Yes. But yeah, so we're doing this because I like to get a whole bunch of people together and ask them questions that perhaps only I am interested in. So ye phir main, podcast is just a bahana. But as you guys saw, I sent you an agenda, not as long as some of my usual ones. But I wanted to, because it's been a year so since we've been doing this set, I thought it'd be good to
Alhamdulillah.
catch up with everybody and see काम कैसा जा रहा है. So I mean, I'll go in order because there's three people. We can go in order of the way I see them. So that's Daniel, then Kazi, and then Uzair. That's just how I see you on screen. And then beach mein, if you want to interrupt anyone, feel free. देखने वालों, I mean, सुनने वालों आपको तो नहीं पता, लेकिन काजी की जो situation है, it's not a very formal setup here, clearly.
It's the fucking best.
Yeah. So, welcome listeners, viewers to this collection of nerds. We're doing we're doing a podcast panel like we did a YouTube panel and might hopefully do another one. What
Inshallah.
we hope to discuss here
Inshallah.
is we have four people who do podcasts who've been doing them for at least a year, maybe a little bit more. And I thought we'd catch up on how things are going. So what we'll do first is introduction. So Daniel Saab, Mr. Danger, um, you I know
Danger.
from your show On The Mic,
Yes, sir.
but it's also like you have an Instagram account by the name of On The Mic where there are multiple shows. So
Yeah.
zara aap ek summarize the elevator pitch introduction दें about
Oh
who you
no,
are,
yeah.
what you talk about.
Elevator pitches मेरे से बिल्कुल नहीं होती. जो बात है, जो सीधी बात है, it's a
Bro,
it's a
दो
correct-
सेंटेंस हो गए बस. बता.
खत्म. Elevator pitch मेरे से नहीं होती. Greatest elevator pitch ever. Like I think that's the
में से
best.
10 सेकंड तो भी हो गए भाई.
That's
यहाँ
your
तक-
floor.
इसीलिए हमारे पास कोई पैसे नहीं है पॉडकास्टिंग से because ये हमारी
Elevator
elevator
pitch
pitch.
12 नंबर दबा देना.
आ रही है, फंस गई बीच में जरा. पिच ही फंस गई है बीच में.
Yeah, On The Mic is really just so we wanted, me and my friend Ismail, actually yeah, बैठा हुआ है, funny enough, we started the podcast together. We wanted to cover things that we cared about because हमारे पास काफी ideas थे कि we could do a podcast specific to this, but ultimately it wasn't stuff that we really cared about like with all our life. What we care about is the sports we watch. बहुत unfortunately dude type scene hai, lekin Ismail is a lifelong football fan. He knows nothing else. Like literally कुछ भी हो, Liverpool का match हो, वो नहीं miss करेगा. He will
Nice.
be there at home by himself watching Liverpool match, but कुछ शादी हो, कोई engagement, nah, he just
हाँ.
can't make it. Same with me and MMA. सुबह 5 बजे उठ के MMA देखनी, तो हम लोगों ने 3 shows बनाए, एक on the mic जिसमें हम हर एक से बात करना चाहते. That's also something we feel very passionately about. कि यार, doesn't matter who it is, I don't care what you do, I don't care if you have an agenda or not, just come on, we'll have a chat. That's I think something all podcasters want to do to some degree. उसके बाद फिर Ismail wanted to do a show on football. ठीक है, I want to do a show on MMA. ठीक है, सब कुछ डाल दो एक ही जगह basically. And that's where we're at right now. कोई as such कोई conception का वो नहीं था कि ये है, you know, like ये करना है वो करना है, no goals, nothing. We just wanted to start. We're doing it, and dude, it is the best. Can I cuss? This is the best shit ever. Like I'm like shit you not getting to talk to people, and then the snowball there just becomes like getting to do things and things we care about, like the things I've gotten to do because of just being in MMA or combat sports. It's nuts. So like yeah, that's the synopsis. That's what we do. I know your intro tha thoda weird ho gaya,
No, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the energy. अब काजी अब बिस्तर में ना यही एनर्जी रखनी है तुमने.
अली भाई सवाल क्या था?
What your show is, how long it's been. Daniel, how long has it been?
Oh, it's been little over a year and some months, I would say. Year and some change.
Right.
Like that.
And your format is largely live in person chats.
Yeah, we like that, but since COVID happened, we realized okay, we avoided the online thing under any circumstance. Ko Karachi mein hota, we were like, yo, we love you. Lahore aaoge to batana, because you know we want to keep it like that. But since COVID happened, we're like, bro, karna padega. Tab se yeah, we just it's either interviews, so कुछ sports type style interviews bhi hote hain, where it's like pre-fight interview, like you have a fight coming up, ye wo, how do you feel, how's the weight cut, how's the training. But then we also want to do long form, like hour, 1.5 ghante ke podcast, where it's just like talking,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
for the sake.
So Kazi, how long has your show been on, and
Ali bhai,
how
it's
would
been,
you put it in a box?
Ali bhai, it's been exactly a year, alhamdulillah. Last जो शुरू का lockdown हुआ था, उसमें I decided to quit my job and just start a podcast. Invested all my savings in a little room, and that room, Allah ke karam se, has been graced by lots of people that are really just brilliant and you know have put me to shame in every which way. And when it comes to putting the podcast in a box, I really hope that that it becomes impossible for me. But if I were to sell it to you on a pitch, elevator pitch, it's just people I'd love to talk to that I talk to. That's it.
Okay.
Kahe Ga Kazi, and then I obviously have a lot of stuff to say. Preferably I'm not lying down when I talk to them.
Yeah.
Matlab,
semi-seated. We're not going to address this in this whole episode. बात ही नहीं.
No.
क्यों?
That's Kazi. He lies down and talks to people. Yeah, that's what he does.
ठीक है. Yes. कहाँ लेटेगा Kazi? But and then last but not least, Uzair, you run Pakistanomy. Pakistanomy. How would you? Am I saying it right? This very real word.
Pakistanomy, yeah.
Pakistani.
Bilkul. Yeah, so
yeah.
I mean, it's been what, over a year, साल से ज़्यादा हो गया. I mean, count मुझे date exact याद नहीं है शुरू कब किया था, but essentially जो thinking थी उसकी यही थी कि यार I focus on the economy, and I was trying to get a sense of के हो क्या रहा है. And I live in Washington. I visit Pakistan frequently. Pandemic के start से तो नहीं आया हूँ. But essentially, it was a selfish conversation for me to come to Pakistan and then arrange all these meetings, etc., and get to know what's going on, hear interesting people, was just like, uska time aapne block karna padta hai. And podcasting was just an excuse, a selfish excuse ke I want to talk to you, let's have a conversation, tell me what you're doing, whether you're a startup founder, whether you're an analyst, whether you're an academic, etc. Or goal yahi tha ke have interesting conversations, and hopefully some wonks and nerds will listen to it and want to understand what's going on in the economy. Kyunke mainstream television ya social media agar aap kholein to matlab it's crap, right? So this was my way of saying, okay, I want to know what's going on, and maybe others will appreciate the fact that you can actually have a 1 hour long, 2 hour long conversation about what's going on in a dispassionate view, and invite anyone under the sun to come on and share their thoughts.
Yeah, but that's a good point that you bring up then. And as I've mentioned before, all I do when talking to people is look for segues. The you open the TV and everything is shit, and that's why you thought ke podcast karna chahiye. Why did you, and then we'll go in reverse order. Why did you start a podcast? Why not just do like a YouTube series, or why not go and work on television? Why
Yeah,
podcast?
so podcast was easier initially. जब मैंने research करना शुरू की, the format was better. I didn't have to sort of invest a lot of time and effort in sort of post production, graphics वगैरह. Very quickly realize हो गया कि पाकिस्तान में podcasting में लोग अभी भी इतने ज़्यादा नहीं आए. YouTube पे ज़्यादा सुनते हैं. तो अब Pakistani is on YouTube as video, Zoom पे recording होती है. It's easier to put up. वगैरह वगैरह. But podcast essentially ये था कि it's just a better, more formal or less formal way of having a conversation with someone. Like आप phone मिला रहे हैं किसी को, right? And like you send them a link. अब pandemic की वजह से Zoom की सबकी आदत हो गई, तो that helped a lot कि लोग comfortable हो गए. But otherwise it was just the format. अब मैं खुद ज़्यादा सुनता हूँ podcast को when I'm out walking, running वगैरह. तो मैंने सोचा यार, if I am listening to this long form content, मैं screen के सामने बैठ के तो नहीं सुनने वाला. And that was the reason why.
Right, right. What about you guys, Kazi? Why did you start a podcast specifically?
Anyway, it's been said to death. I really have lost faith in had lost faith in our ability to have conversations. And I was like, conversations happen long form. There are segues, and we jump from one thing to another. Nothing's ever, no one's in real life. No one's going to chew your food for you. I use this analogy often, and that was the goal, is to have people on and just have conversations. Like the longest podcast I've ever done, and I'm very happy with it, alhamdulillah, is 3 hours long. And not for a second was I like, yeah, I need to be elsewhere. Like I was like, this is a brilliant conversation, and people need to fucking sit through it. और ज्यादातर मुझे यही आता है कि भाई आप जो है ना वो टाइम स्टैम्प्स लगा दे, नहीं
time
आप
stamps
सुनो,
लगा दे.
हाँ आप गुफ्तगू सुनो भाई, क्या हो गया यार. Also me and Uzair have cleft chins. We're brothers now. मैं बता रहा हूँ सिर्फ.
Nice.
जो है वो है, बस मैंने बोल दिया.
Yeah.
ठीक है.
And what about you, Daniel? Why podcasts? Because
Yeah,
another
so-
reason why I'm asking this is pandemic tha, you're interested in the thing, but effectively, apart from like a handful of people outside of those here, this is Pakistan ki podcasting space. Acha, there's a disclaimer. So when you look at the people here, there are some people who have podcasts who are not here.
Yeah.
Those people are very famous, and
Yeah.
I have not included them consciously because they were famous before they started podcasts. It's been a very आजकल के ज़माने में like incremental YouTube step. If you're already a YouTuber, your natural progression is towards a podcast, and I feel कि उनका fame, pre-existing fame, has bled into their podcasting success as well. So that's why I got people who have no history and specifically started podcasts because I was curious about that thought process, which is what we'll talk about now. So Daniel, why not just make like YouTube videos or video essays? Why podcasts?
Actually, you're right that for me initially, the concept. So my whole thing has a lot to do with mixed martial arts, and I will always, no matter where I go, advocate. Not just advocate for it, but at least try to talk about as much as I can. I just want to fill people's ears up with as much MMA as possible, because I really do think it is the best thing that can happen, not just to a country or a group of people, but to anybody. It is the best thing universally that somebody can do.
सड़क पे आपके साथ हो जाए MMA, best is the best thing that can happen to you.
Yeah, और अगर आपको आती हो तो the best scene. Like, you know what I mean? If you're better than the other dude, Pirto, it's like the best, bro.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like I started, and this was pre-pandemic. This was around December. Sarai Fight Night 1 happens, and it's touted as the biggest MMA show in Pakistan's history. I've never heard. I did know Pakistani MMA existed, but I didn't know shows of this scale happened. I was driving. I was checking my phone. Very unethical. Sorry, don't do that. It's not good. Please don't. But I saw an ad which basically said we need a ring announcer and a commentator. I called him up. I said I want to do both. I've never done either, but I want to try it. I think I can do it. I did a bit of debating in school. I can run my mouth. I know what I know. I can like at least hold a conversation, at least talk about something.
Yeah.
From there, after doing all of that, I realized, you know what's missing in Pak MMA? It's everything's there. The fighters are there. The coaches are there. The quality is there. the athletic acumen required to be world beaters is there, but the
Hmm.
one thing that's missing is nobody's talking to them, nobody's talking about them, nobody's putting the stuff on record, nobody's holding interviews or doing any kind of thing which somebody can look at 5 years from now and say, oh, Najm Khan, now world champion, actually this was his podcast from 5 years ago when he's coming up in Pakistan. So my whole thing was just for the sake of recording conversations, dialogue, long form, just like, discussions and all of the things Kazi and Uzair have already talked about, but do it for mostly a group of people who do not get any kind of coverage for whatever reason because of how nascent the industry is or whatever. I don't know
Right.
what it is, but nobody really wants to do anything to do with MMA. So, and now it's spiraled into like, I just enjoy talking to people, not just talking to MMA fighters. So I'll have some musicians on and have,
Yeah.
other people who are, Pakistani and just do things. So
Right,
that's
right, right.
that's the
So your thing was not like, for example, one of the reasons we also started was like Kazi and Uzair mentioned, sort of like being disillusioned with existing Pakistani media. Because
yeah.
like अगर information की बात करें तो हमारी news media वगैरह तो like for years it's been just people yelling at each other and then घर चले आते हैं वही लोग फिर किसी और channel पे आते हैं they yell at each other and फिर घर चले आते हैं like the
Yeah.
stagnation thing. But your thing was exploring this one subject that you were passionate about and was like had no representation, not even underrepresented.
No, not at all. Like I know some names will pop up in people's head, like Bashir Ahmed, the guy who's considered the godfather of Pak MMA. But there's so many people who've done so much, that actually absolutely have no praise to their name, nothing. And now the currency is, on everyone's phone. It's
Yeah.
followers and numbers, and or if nothing else, at least pieces of content that people can look back at. This is going to be our history one day. This is going to be things people look at to research and understand something. If there's nothing there, then that's the worst thing that can happen to not just any group of people, but to a group
Yeah.
of people that physically put their lives on the line, knowing that there is absolutely no recourse in case they get injured or worse, dead. There's no recourse, no insurance, nothing. This is their sport. This is what they do. Sorry, guys, I get a little emotional.
Yeah.
I'm taking all the airtime. This
like,
means a lot to me. But yeah,
पीछे वाली
yeah,
लाइटों की इंटेंसिटी भी ऐसा लग रहा है कि बढ़ रही है अच्छा तो मुझे बताओ like Uzair mentioned Uzair, did your show was audio only first?
Started it as audio only, yes.
Yeah. And then we also started audio only, and then to get like a bigger audience हमने कहा कि चलो YouTube पे भी आते हैं. Kazi and Daniyal, did you ever consider audio first, audio only, or was it YouTube was on your mind from day one as well? Or are you even audio secondary?
No. So मैं तो अली भाई आपको पता है my initial thing was इरफान भाई ने मुझे दिया था homework. I vlogged for a month straight every day.
Yeah.
तो then फिर वो that didn't. I was like यार नहीं ये नहीं है. I'm just not gonna do this. So फिर mine was always video and audio. I don't know why I didn't like that was it.
Yeah. What about you, Daniel?
Yeah, it was odd. It was always video. I mean, we actually went into only audio much later.
Right.
Because I really do think like from every perspective, look at it, just how appealing it is or how fun it is. Even like I know people get conscious when I still get very conscious when a camera is pointed at me. Like I'm a completely different person.
Yeah.
Because I have to be. I haven't learned to completely be natural in front of camera. But that dynamic is very interesting. When somebody's looking at you and you know that. And I think it really brings some really interesting conversations out.
Okay.
So always video.
अच्छा, so now we've established सबकी origin stories, how you came here, format वगैरह क्या चुना, एक साल हो गया सबको ये अलग अलग fields में. Does anybody care? Daniel, will start with you because I'm asking also because the field is new. Before 2020, Pakistan में podcasts I think 2 या 3 थे that I know of. And वो भी ये था कि unka like Fasi Zakar and Musharraf Zaidi had this like long running super famous Pakistan experience. Not Pakistan experience.
How to Pakistan.
How to Pakistan.
Pakistan experience Shehzad.
Awkward.
Yeah. Extremely awkward. We're gonna cut all of that. No, we're not
Shout
gonna
out
cut
to
that.
both those podcasts.
Yeah, so they had How to Pakistan, which was also not super regular. मतलब वो करते थे when they got together, फिर बहुत सारा सा गुजर गया, Musharraf off doing something, and फिर वापस आके फिर कर रहे हैं. So it was just that. But in 2020, we start, everyone starts. Pandemic में बहुत से लोगों ने शुरू किया. This completely new thing. और पाकिस्तान में like modern YouTube in Pakistan is perhaps 2017 onwards. So that itself is not very old. how has the experience been shuru se leke ab tak in terms of how interested people are, Daniel?
Um, it's complicated. I would
Yeah.
say that for us, especially because pehle se we've already kind of shot ourselves in the foot, and everybody says this to me, like, why would you do something about somebody nobody cares? Like MMA in Pakistan is not, again, like I said, if we're building up fans, then
Yeah.
literally the people who subscribe are the only fans kind of Pakistani MMA. Same thing for kind of Pakistani football. I think Pakistani football has much better, you know,
Penetration.
numbers in terms of
Yeah.
people who listen to it, viewership. Yeah, exactly. But even then, it's still slow. People do watch, and we're playing in very small numbers because of that. Like consciously, हमें पता है कि like it's a slow burn. Like it's something
Yeah.
we're not really looking into कि पाँच साल में ये कर रहे होंगे, वो कर रहे होंगे, Hunzaverse जा रहे होंगे. We're not like gonna be making it or whatever. Joking about Hunzaverse. I pretty relax.
Yeah.
But is it too soon, guys? I don't like.
No,
What do
I
you
love
think?
it.
Like,
Nothing is
सही
too
है,
soon.
जाने दो.
yeah, fuck it. Yeah, throw some more trash there. Anyway, so my point is, people already don't care about those things to begin with, and
Yeah.
now, like, when we start doing shows about it, तो no. But जो लोग आते हैं वो इतने passion और इतने खुशी से आते हैं कि यार तुम लोग इस चीज के बारे में बात कर रहे हो. Thank you. कि we're more than happy with the numbers or the whatever. But
Has
no,
talking
overall, I
to
would say people don't really
MMA
care about
वगैरह तो चलो
podcasts.
is niche, but you're also speaking to musicians वगैरह. Has that helped with the growth in terms of like sustainable growth?
Yeah. I think you should never marry yourself to one thing. You should focus on what you really care about. And जो भी बंदा सा जैसे अभी काजी और उजैर और आप बैठे तब से like सोच रहे हो कि यार ये बंदा क्यों MMA के बारे में बार-बार बात करता है. इतना बहुत ज़्यादा लोग भी करते हैं शो पे आके, but that's important.
Yeah.
Like we need to kind of, the more people we talk to it. So yeah, I mean that helped in terms of traction and stuff, and also in terms of the quality of content we made. Is the
Okay.
best thing we could have done.
Okay. Kazi, your thing is that your scope, perhaps the risk in terms of audience would be that your scope is fully open-ended. तुम किसी से
Yes.
बात कर लोगे regardless of
Inshallah.
field, whatever expertise, yeah, whatever. How has your response been in terms of like the audience getting on board with we should listen to everybody rather than we should listen to my favorite vlogger Irfan Junejo only?
Ali bhai, it's been, for the most part, it's actually been quite warm, alhamdulillah. That you get the odd person who'll be like, "Abey Sadia ko kyun bulaya?" Sadia Khatri, who's a feminist, and
Right.
she's wearing a sari and just putting all that information out there. या फिर ये Saif Ali burger है, ये English में क्यों बात कर रहा है? There is the odd straggler, but for the most part, they're like, हाँ यार, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point, is just to have conversations with pretty much everyone, inshallah, Allah ke hukum se. And I hope they don't get me in trouble. लेकिन for the most part is just that. And जो आते हैं वो यही देखने आते हैं. और जो इरफान, अब देखो मेरी बात सुनो यार, इरफान भाई का एपिसोड 1 होता है, एवरेज व्यूज होते हैं लाख, राइट? But I only have like 9-10 हजार फॉलोअर्स. तो मुझे भी पता है क्या हो रहा है. जो नहीं बलाज बोलता था क्लब हाउस पे, हमारी जो ऑडियंस है, राइट? सो वो तो इरफान भाई के साथ आते हैं, इरफान भाई के साथ चले जाते हैं, कुछ रह जाते हैं. They're like, okay, so we have conversations. So for the most part, it's been warm, alhamdulillah. And yeah, मैं जो है podcast के during ही mention करता हूँ. I don't take extra time out of my day to get back at these people when they're like, oh, you timestamp लगा दो ये वो. But in the podcast, I'm like, यार देखो नहीं ना, आपको सुनना पड़ेगा. You'll have to sit through this. And this is again passive consumption content, ना? तो आप कुछ भी कर रहे हो, पीछे लगा दो. मतलब
पीछे लगा दो.
ऑल ऑडियो, मतलब स्पॉटिफाई लगा दो या जो भी है, कहीं पे भी लगा दो, एप्पल पॉडकास्ट, और सुनो. और अगर नहीं सुनना है तो ना सुनो, तो फिर ना सुनो. जब दानियाल
बड़ा स्क्रीन पे लिखा आएगा अभी, go fuck yourself.
नहीं अल्लाह रहम करेगा भाई. I want people to listen, right? But at the same time, I am now getting a little jaded with people's entitlement of what I should and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Like that podcast that I had to pull, right? Lots of people were telling me what I should and shouldn't do with that as well. And by lots of people, I don't mean, my loved ones or people like you guys, who, or at least you, Ali, by Daniyal or Uzair se to main pehli baar abhi baat kar raha hu. But if you were to say something to me, we speak at length. I would consider you my friend. right? But random people are just like, hey, you shouldn't have removed that podcast. Dude, like I said, अगर सुनना है तो सुनो, अगर नहीं सुनना है तो भी अल्लाह खैर करने वाला है इंशाल्लाह, you know. अभी भी अल्लाह मियां चला रहा है मुझे. I never have any long term plans. अभी भी I don't even know how I'm here, you know. I was supposed to be in Canada, whatever, you know. तो अल्लाह रहम करेगा.
Because in my mind this is Kazi's full-time job, and this is what he hopes will be his full-time money making job as well.
Inshallah.
Okay. Daniel, by the way, I didn't ask that. Is that the same for you? Is this your full-time thing, part-time thing? Do you want it to be your full-time thing?
Oh, no. I have a full-time. It's convenient. I work in a MMA gym. There we go. I'm not kidding. Brave Gym in Packages Mall.
Oh, I know
there's
Brave Gym.
some
Yeah, okay.
sales. Yeah. So I'm in, and so I manage the place. That's my full-time job. Okay. And then when 12 to 8, I'm there, and then 8 o'clock I'm home. Or फिर कोई 9 बजे podcast होता है, somebody comes over or whatever, and then we just do that. Okay. But do I want this to be full-time gig? Yes. But inshallah. My goal is so I started doing ring announcing and commentary. Haven't been able to get any gigs for the last couple of months because of COVID. We're not the goal, the dream, the ideal situation is just, you know, ring announce, commentate for MMA rest of my life, and just do podcasts as like a, you know, fun little.
Uzair, I'll come to you quickly. Your field is something that Pakistanis in general, or at least Pakistanis on Twitter, appear to be very invested in. Economy mein kya ho raha hai, politics mein kya chal raha hai. Everyone has an opinion, and the number of experts is bigger than the total population somehow.
Of course it is.
Because of that, how have you felt about the growth, the traction, the interest? And then something I'll come to everyone else about, and I'll go first if that's what we need. Like, do people stay long enough to hear the thing? Do they come in, they see अच्छा ये ठीक है, चलो, I don't like Zurar Khoro anyway, ये अभी भी shit बात कर रहा है, मैं जा रहा हूँ. Like, yeah. What's that like?
तो देखो, जो काजी ने कहा ना, you have to chew your own food. Economy पे भी वही है, जैसे आपने भी कहा कि there are more experts than the population.
Yeah.
So background mera, this is not my full-time job. I spend maybe 3 to 4 hours a week on podcast production, getting the guest on, prepping for it, etc. तो podcast आती है, उससे पहले जो है I would write on the economy for the Friday Times, Dawn वगैरह, DC के अंदर I write, etc. But I have a full-time job that has nothing to do with Pakistan at all. Like, I don't get paid for any of this stuff. तो पहला तो ये होता है जब आप podcast करने लगते हैं, और when you have an opinion based on experts you've talked to, तो पहले आ जाता है कि भाई तुम्हारा कोई एजेंडा है या तुम्हें पैसे बनाए. भाई नहीं मिल रहे पैसे यार, मतलब अपनी जेब, अपना वक्त खुद ही इस्तेमाल कर रहा हूँ, किसी ने 1 रुपया नहीं दिया आज तक इस काम के लिए.
ऐसे लग रहे हैं.
हाँ,
ऐसे लग रहे हैं, in like
पैसे लग रहे हैं उल्टा, right? You're investing time, effort, budgets, etc. on all of this. You know, graphics बनाने हैं, उसके लिए भी किसी को पैसे देने. दोस्त है, लेकिन दोस्त को भी पैसे देने. I don't want to use their labor for free. But usually traction क्या है? 4,500 या 4,600 followers हैं YouTube पे. Some other people tune in every week on podcast का. I think another problem is कि पूरा analytics आपको audio format का सही तरह मिलता नहीं है अभी तक. Like, it's hard. Yeah. So I don't know. Let's say maybe in total there are 10,000 listeners who tune in, and उनमें से 10-12% जो हैं वो हर हफ्ते सुनते हैं. I think again जो दानियाल ने बात की कि it is a long tail, right? It's a slow burn. मेरा goal ये है कि as I learn, and over the 60 plus episodes that I've done with experts, अगर कोई listener है जो 10% लोग जो हर episode सुन चुके हैं, there's a journey of learning. ताकि शायद उनको कुछ समझ आने लगे कि मुल्क में हो क्या रहा है, so that they have a better understanding of what they need to push for from an agenda point of view, or in terms of engaging with people who make policy. और अगर उनमें से कुछ लोग हैं जिनके पास influence है और वो कुछ सीख के they can make a change, that's success for me. Nothing else matters. But selfishly, it's all about me having a long journey with my audience so that they learn. तो मैंने एक podcast की थी just anecdotally, right? I did one with I forget her name, Dr. Wazir or something, but she was like, we both agree on what's wrong, but her sort of worldview was confessions of an economic hitman वगैरह वगैरह, which I fundamentally disagree with. Uspe my friends were like, why didn't you push back on her? I'm like, look, that's not my format, but the journey of the audience is such that I will talk to people like her, and the audience, through being on this journey with me, will realize where she is right and where she's wrong. And as long as they're able to discern that, that is success. Usse zyada, I don't want 100,000 views or a million views. Would I like that? Would that massage my ego? Of course. But that's not the point. The point is कि यार मतलब अगर कंटेंट नहीं है, लोगों को समझ नहीं आ रही इकोनॉमी पे क्या हो रहा है, या ट्विटर पे मुझे कोई आके कहता है कि आपने 2016 में लिखा था कि ये क्राइसिस होगा 2018 में, तो मैंने कहा भाई मैंने 2016 में अगर डीसी में बैठ के लिख दिया था, तो जो लोग कह रहे थे हमने प्लानिंग की हुई है वो क्या कर रहे थे? तो सवाल तो ये होना चाहिए, मुझे क्यों सवाल पूछ रहे हो भाई, मैं तो एनालिसिस कर रहा हूँ. So I think overall it's like if you're on a journey with me, that's all that matters.
So that's again on my segue hunt. I see ke, do people want or react more to, because in all of our shows, Daniel, you're doing MMA, Kazi, you're doing all of society, Uzair, you're doing economics, politics. We are deep in like the creator zone of things on new media, and we all have an educational agenda. All of us. These are things we're passionate about. We feel we understand deeply, and we want to pass it on to people. What I feel, uh, personally, I've seen that works well, or people always have a reaction to, is जरा सी भी ना कंट्रोवर्सी या मसाला टाइप की अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल
तड़का
जाए ना,
लगा दो.
तड़का मिल जाए, तो people are really into that.
Yes.
In terms of even like our episodes, like if I talk about things like retention, अब मैं इरफान जुनेजो के बहुत fans हैं. इरफान जुनेजो is the common factor between Kazi and me. I don't know how the response goes. Numbers बड़े आते हैं, लोग views बड़े होते हैं वगैरह वगैरह. Any famous YouTube, Instagram influencer I get, great response. Retention 10 to 15%. वो देखते हैं and they're like, go fuck yourself. जब हम वो करते हैं episodes, we and the बाकी boys, and उसमें हम हराईपन की बातें कर रहे हैं, we're doing the jokes, the banter, ये वो सब कुछ, 40%, 50% retention. देख रहे हैं आधा घंटा 40 मिनट लोग देख रहे हैं. And I'm like, this is not something I'm making an effort on. You enjoy it. But जहाँ effort हो रहा है, breakdowns हो रहे हैं, वहाँ attention नहीं जा रही. Gossip, जलालत की बात आएगी, लोग फौरन आ जाएंगे. Does that resonate with anybody here?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. Can I go first? Because I have a thought on this. I
Yeah.
spoke at length with, because Pakistani is produced with Tabadla. I spoke with Musharraf at length about it, some other friends at length about it. Two things came out of it. One, तो obviously अगर आप controversy create करते हैं या finger pointing type show करते हैं, तो उसकी जो है virality होगी, उससे कुछ retention भी हो जाएगी, आपके viewers बढ़ जाएंगे, okay, आप खुश हो गए.
Your
But
fields have a
retention-
lot of scope for this also, because of politics.
which I
and
can do,
economy.
right? I can engage in that blame game every week. I can do the PTI, PML, and PPP blame game every week, which goes on social media. I think the second one, which was an important one, was that it's a educational journey, not only about the content, but the consumption of the type of content. And the way I describe it is कि अगर किसी की आदत है मिर्च मसाला वाला खाना खाने की, मेरे साथ हुआ था जब मैं 2007 में अमेरिका आया, तो पाकिस्तानी कुजीन की आदत थी. अब यहाँ आके इटालियन किसी ने खिला दिया बड़े फैंसी रेस्टोरेंट में, मैं कह रहा हूँ ये क्या खिला रहे हो भाई, मतलब समझ ही नहीं आ रहा, कुछ टेस्ट ही नहीं लग रहा, राइट? वो पैलेट डेवलप करने में टाइम लगता है आपको. So same thing goes here. It's like it's educational on that side as well. You have to have a more sophisticated palate जहाँ आपने, you have to chew your own food and also discern the differences in point of view without the तड़का. और वो because mainstream media के अंदर we've been fed a certain diet, it's hard to do that. But that's what I'm in for, is like, okay, I don't care, like it takes 5 years, 10 years, maybe it never happens, but at the end of the day, can I look back 3, 4, 5 years from now and say, yeah, I had some interesting conversations with people, and hopefully some people like learned a bit more because of
but
that.
ये palate improvement वाली बात, माना you're thinking in the 5-10 year thing, but एक साल फिर भी हो चुका, you've done 60 episodes, you mentioned. Have you seen any trend changes towards that?
The people who discern, the comments sometimes I get on both the YouTube page or on social media, I think people have started discerning, and they've started understanding what's wrong.
Right.
And I can get into what's wrong and what my own learning over that year has been. But I think the people who've tuned in have also started figuring out that this is not a political party issue. What's going on in the economy, it's larger than that. And I think in the year that people have tuned in, they figured that out as well by listening to the podcast.
Kazi, what about you? How do you feel about the mirch masala? What people come for, what they stay for?
अली भाई recreational outrage तो sells all the time ना, क्योंकि जैसे आपने बोला कि ट्विटर पे इतने लोग, पाकिस्तान में इतने लोग नहीं है जितने एक्सपर्ट्स बैठे हुए हैं. um I feel like we generally have a proclivity to speak and not listen, and so वही वाली बात है, जितनी कंसाइज कर सके आप बात, तो मतलब हम सब रेप अपोलोजिस्ट्स हैं या हम सब फेमिनिस्ट्स हैं? नहीं भाई, हम सब इंसान हैं, and we're all just trying to make our way through life. So yes, मिर्च मसाला बिल्कुल होता है, but again, because I put literally nothing in the title except the name of the guest, they're just like, यार, whoever bothers to listen. अब वही वाली बात है, अगर आप what's another example, अगर आप जो है On Ali, the editor of a philosophy magazine, अगर आप उसको hate करने आए थे खास, तो फिर हाँ, मिर्च मसाला मिल जाएगा आपको, you can hate him, he's there. पर उसके अलावा for the most part मेरा नहीं सीन होता है. इंस्टाग्राम पे कभी कभी कोई अगर बोल दे कि औरत मार्च गलत है या सही है, तो उस पे कुछ लोग खतरनाक हो जाते हैं, फिर वो पूरे एसेस लिख देते हैं, but उसके अलावा कुछ नहीं होता.
But do you think people are improving in terms of their acceptance of the medium?
Ali bhai, I don't think so. I still think for the most part, people like Irfan bhai and Muru have ruined it for the rest of us because of how beautiful their work is. Their work is just so pretty, na. मैं खुद बोलता हूँ यार, why would someone want to look at my face for 3 hours versus this? All this slow-mo and all these color grades.
I'm also asking, and Dian, I'll come to you in a second. I'm also asking because kuch arse pehle you had a conversation like this on Clubhouse with somebody.
Yes.
And usme yahi tha ke the acceptance of, you know, the medium and the format and success or future ki baatein. And there was your opinion, very negative in the eyes of some. And there was an opposing opinion, बहुत उम्मीद भरा, and you know, एक हर ज़वाल
घबराना नहीं है.
हाँ, हर ज़वाल के बाद उरूज भी आता है, that sort of shit. But do you see that happening in this 1 year of your work? मतलब
Ali bhai, so growth तो अल्लाह का करम है हो रही है, because I've had beautiful guests, so beautiful people have graced me with their presence, alhamdulillah. वो तो इस वजह से हो रहा है, सीधी बात है. That person, मैं उसको तब भी यही बोल रहा था, मैं अभी भी उनको यही बोलूंगा. I hope he's right, because he's projecting or he's predicting कि अगले 3-4 साल में काजी अकबर जो होगा will be a household name. Like, I need him to understand. I needed him to understand even back then. Listen, buddy, you're on my side. I'm not on my side.
Yeah.
You know? So, अभी तक मतलब थोड़ी सी हो रही है, sure. But is it negligible? I think so. I still think people, for the most part, don't know what to do with a 3-hour-long conversation or an hour-long conversation.
Even an hour long, yeah.
Even an hour long.
Dian, how do you feel about this?
So ये जो आपने सवाल पूछा ना अली भाई, this is a very existential question to me, at least, because this is the stuff that I like think about or have thought about at great lengths. Like the lockdown helped because we started a little before the lockdown. Lockdown जब लगा तो literally यही चीजें बस सोचता था, पूरे दिन घर में बंद था, या मैं अपनी योगा मैट पे बस अकेला विदाउट इक्विपमेंट एक्सरसाइज कर रहा हूँ, या बस मैं पॉडकास्ट कर सोच रहा हूँ, मैं पॉडकास्ट कर रहा हूँ. तभी very early on I kind of made an agreement with myself, because I'm a very obsessive person, like in case you guys can't tell already. I'm a very obsessive person.
नहीं, क्या बात कर रहे हो?
But if I get into something, I get into, and so the deal I made with myself was I'm never going to concern myself with numbers or what whether people are watching or whether people like it or not. What views are we getting? Because it's I know even now, like हमारा Faizan Samir came on the podcast, amazing guy. Smile, talk to him. We're getting great numbers from that right now. Or we know it's not going to be like the same number of people tuning into the next episode, but that's just how it is. Like that's just how it is with anything, really. Like people tune in even when television was there. Like I'm a big pro wrestling fans, and pro wrestling taught me like every segment gets a different rating based on who's in the segment. That's just how, you know, everything is. So I really try to block that out. Like I don't want to think about and automatically फिर मेरा वो कभी emphasis भी नहीं होता कि like मैं I try to get some kind of controversy out naturally. हाँ, MMA is that kind of stuff where you have to ask, and here's your opponent, what do you think about him? He talks some shit, what do you think about him? So naturally MMA में there is that element of like confrontation which really boosts reading. Warna before like when I started this, I was a complete follower of Eric Bischoff's philosophy. Great philosopher, poet. I'm just kidding. He was the general manager of WCW in the fucking 1990s Attitude Era war. He's the guy who led WCW to the top of the ratings. Eric Bischoff said controversy creates cash. I believe that. I still believe it, but it's going to poison my work. It's going to pollute it. My whole thing is I want people to look back at the videos I make with them and say, oh, so my focus is never on myself either. Like I rarely like to talk about my opinions on things because that's irrelevant. The people are here to look at the other person. So it's like a 1 hour discography of just them talking. I don't know if discography is the right word, but just them talking and explaining their thing. Like वो explain कि बस जाने दो, बस बोल दिया
अभी जाने दो.
अच्छा, लेकिन
English में बोला, accent की सही है.
I appreciate this artistic angle, and this is perhaps true across all the people here. कि भाई, we're not searching for views. We're not going to do shit के like cheap तरीके से लोग आ जाएं. But because again, going back to sort of the educational angle where we're trying to fill this void within society or Pakistani media or whatever that we see that has led us to do this stupid thing that we do, there is an element of जितने लोग देखेंगे उतनी समझ भी बढ़ेगी. Because if we're saying great stuff but in a way that nobody cares, how does that relationship go? Does anybody
करना पड़ता है यार. Like, sorry, last thing, Usman Wazir, Amir Khan, biggest scandal of the last, like, I like to bob my head when I say scandal like this.
Lighting भी बदल रही है पीछे.
फिर disco हो रहा है.
Full. अच्छा, last 2020 का जो biggest वो boxing scandal था was they came together, put on the biggest show in Pakistan's history, then splitted the scene, put on 2 different shows, 2 different cities. Something happened there. So to a certain degree, if my and this is what I truly believe, if my work is potent enough, focused enough, and just like trying to uncover the truth, then I think automatically that kind of stuff will come. अब भी नहीं आएगा, बाद में आ जाएगा, बाद में नहीं आएगा, शायद कभी भी ना आए. But the potency of the work can't change. So if I have to cover Usman Wazir or Amir Khan ka split as a story, I will do it honestly. I will not try to embellish it. I will not try to whatever. And I think that story in itself should be good enough. But बहुत मुश्किल है यार, करना पड़ता है. Like at some point you have to ask those questions.
You're not going to perhaps make controversy more potent, but if it's a natural discussion point, so you're not going to ignore it even.
Yeah, because I hate that. MMA in Pakistan में यही है यार, 4 लोग हैं आपस में, 2 लोग एक दूसरे से नाराज हैं, बात भी नहीं करते, कुछ उसके बारे में बात करें,
I think that
तो
is
वो भी गुस्सा हो जाते हैं.
That's
It's
not
like,
just MMA. I think that's the Pakistan story.
Yeah, basically.
थोड़े से लोग हैं, सबको
Except the podcasters, we all here, boys.
नहीं.
बिल्कुल भी नहीं.
होंगे comments. But what about you guys? Uzair, Kazi, how do you feel about this relationship of not like searching or pandering to viewers, but also the necessity of having an audience for your message and work to be disseminated? Kazi, तुम्हारा जो हाथ की पोजीशन है ना, तुम लग रहे हो बोलने के
यार. I mean, look, उससे इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ता. I mean, ऑडियंस जो है, अब देखो, मईशत के बारे में सीरियस कॉन्वर्सेशन वैसे ही सुला देती है लोगों को, तो वैसे ही आपकी टारगेट ऑडियंस कम है.
Right.
उसके अंदर फिर आपने यू हैव टू सर्च फॉर कि किस तरह का कंटेंट किसके पास जाएगा, क्या उसका रिएक्शन होगा, वगैरह वगैरह. बट आई डोंट थिंक दैट, एटलीस्ट मैं इस बारे में नहीं सोचता, बिकॉज अगर लॉन्ग टेल के बारे में सोचना है एंड यू वांट टू सॉर्ट ऑफ हैव सीरियस कॉन्वर्सेशंस, तो शुरू में तो आपके अर्ली अडॉप्टर्स ही होंगे. उन अर्ली अडॉप्टर्स से होप है कि शायद कुछ ज्यादा लोग मैच्योर होके और अडॉप्ट करने लग जाएं ओवर टाइम. बट हमारा जो एक लूप बना हुआ है ओवरऑल सोशल मीडिया के अंदर या कंटेंट क्रिएशन के अंदर, पर्टिकुलरली विद पॉलिटिकल इकोनॉमी एज माय सब्जेक्ट, वो ये है कि एपेटाइट ही नहीं है लोगों की. एंड इट सेल्स राइट कि इवन
किस चीज की एपेटाइट नहीं है
टू हैव सीरियस कॉन्वर्सेशंस.
Okay.
मेन स्ट्रीम में नहीं है. Whether you're talking about even people जिनको समझ है इन चीजों की, वो भी they have to end up pandering to their base and to their core audience जो एक चीज expect करती है वो आपने उनको हर हफ्ते या हर 2 हफ्ते बाद देनी है. But I think that to me is the depressing part. It's not about whether my content is gaining traction or not. It's that कि यार अगर आपके पास दुनिया जो है वो आपके फोन के ऊपर है और आप रिसर्च कर सकते हैं, you can actually spend the time to understand, chew your food and understand what the hell is going on, and you're still not choosing to do that, particularly as an educated young person, then that's the most disappointing part. Because I think at the end of the day, jahan Pakistan hai is waqt, it is a very very dangerous point. I'm not talking about bahar se ya sazishein ho rahi hain वगैरह नहीं. I'm talking about the fact that आपकी एक young generation है जो opportunity हासिल नहीं कर सक रही to get where they want to be. And 10 साल हो चुके हैं और 10 साल आप फास्ट फॉरवर्ड करते हैं, यही जनरेशन जब 40 साल की हो जाएगी, मेरी जनरेशन, और उनकी जो एस्पिरेशंस हैं वो पूरी तरह मीट नहीं होंगी, and that's a very bad place for society to be in. And we're not having that serious conversation, and I think we should, but I don't know how to get around it.
Doesn't that even highlight the point even more, where you are considering what you're addressing to be a point of such social importance कि तुम्हारा तो like the cause will be benefited by more and more people approaching understanding it, right?
Yeah, but I don't know how to crack that code, right? In the sense कि अगर मिर्च मसाला डालने लग जाऊं तो वही बात, it will revert
how
to
are
the
you
mean.
different? Yeah.
How am I different? So I don't know how to get around that, but I think that's the part that concerns me most. Not कि यार इस 500 इतनी अच्छी conversation हुई डॉक्टर इल्हान नियाज के साथ, उन्होंने पूरा समझाया colonial era से लेकर आज तक पाकिस्तान की मईशत एक ही तरह से चली आ रही है, उस पे 500 views आए. That's the depressing part, because it is he's an academic, he's done great research, and people have a point of view on social media, lekin they won't be bothered to listen to him for 45 minutes to understand what he's trying to say.
Yeah. I'll come to Kazi and then I'll come to what are solutions in more mature markets. But Kazi, what is your do you concern yourself with the importance of what you think these people on your show are, how important it is to get their voice out to as many people?
अरे भाई मेरा तो ये सीन था, even with the monetary thing ना, my thing was, and I was having this conversation with a close friend of mine today only, कि भाई देखो जो पैसे है ना, there are consequences. You work hard and you do something well, and whatever comes, right? And then they highlighted something very interesting. They were like कि यार हाँ वो तो ठीक है, then how do you explain all the mediocre people getting paid as well, right? So then like you said, and your मतलब the thing is, हाँ ठीक है, हम में से किसी को भी ये नहीं सुनना है, ठीक है, हम में से किसी को भी ये नहीं सुनना है कि यार देखो, make it feasible, make it a little like productivize yourself a little bit. You know, like how is this?
Because when I started ages ago, people were like, यार 20 मिनट कर लो ना, 20 मिनट 25 मिनट में कर लो, and I'm like कैसे
20 मिनट तो सलाम दुआ होती है से.
नहीं अली भाई देखो ना, but we did ना, we made our short clips and we made our nice Instagram grids.
देखो I'll come to that after this, but
तो वही ना, अब देखो मैं यहाँ पे बैठ के बड़े चौड़े में, क्योंकि हम सब दोस्त हैं, मैं ये बोल सकता हूँ यार देखो मेरी बात सुनो, अगर नहीं सुनना है ना तो ना सुनो, right? But here's the problem, right? Here's the problem.
Yeah.
And this is a serious problem कि आपका जो वो है, you need them to listen.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't work any other way.
Yeah.
And you need this to be feasible. It doesn't work any other way in that vein as well. Yeah. You need this to be feasible. And to that end, matlab, I suppose, yes, keep doing it the way you're doing it, but also don't operate in absolutes and maybe leave a little bit of room. Matlab, jaise na, never say never. Never be like, मैं कभी भी इश्तिहार नहीं लूंगा, या मैं कभी भी I won't have a certain person on ever. Stuff like that, you know, like just be a little open.
So then the thing that you said earlier, कि मैं chapters नहीं डालूंगा. Okay, I don't want to put chapters. Or as other established podcasts abroad do, they make clips, like we have also been doing. Clips, मतलब बात पहुंच जाए. You put clips on IGTV. Daniyal, Uzair, have you considered clips? Do you do clips, chapters?
I tried doing chapters. I just didn't have the time to be bothered with it.
Okay.
वो आप जो है spend time in post production. I listen to what I record, but then like trying to figure out कि किस section का क्या है. I tried doing clips too.
Yeah.
I'm just lazy. मुझे
Right.
3 घंटे से ज़्यादा नहीं गुजारने हफ्ते के.
Right.
And I'm just like, but I've thought about it and I've tried it.
So you're
and
not
you're right,
like-
clips work.
You're not morally opposed to the idea.
No,
Just get
I'm
time.
not. It's just a function of time. Like I'm like, you know, just I would like to support you in, as Kazi said, chewing your food, but I would still prefer for you to do the whole damn thing yourself.
Fuck, yeah.
Bien,
Just chew your damn food, dude.
have you
I-
considered? Or you do
No,
make clips?
Oh yeah, On the Mic is a 3-man operation. It's me, Ismail, I mentioned previously, still right here.
Yeah.
And Umar Fassi Bashir is like an angel.
Sorry, his
sent
name
to
is
me
Umar
from-
Fassi Bashir. He has
and
3 first
Umar
names.
Fassi, U-
Three first
yes,
names.
Umar Fassi Bashir, UFB.
Acha.
He's the greatest thing that's happened to me, like an angel sent from the heavens. Because I wanted to start a podcast, but I didn't. I've never held a camera. I've never
Right.
shot anything. I've never edited anything. Like I just thought I knew how to talk to people. That was my only thing.
Right.
And then when I
right.
met Omar last year, and he said I've been wanting to do so he does the clips, the graphics, the hype trailers. He makes incredible hype. I don't mean
Nice.
to like pat us ourselves on the back, but Omar makes like so if there's somebody coming on, he'll make like a little trailer for it. And that stuff is just like every time he sends me, to this day, I send him 8 voice notes, each 8 seconds long, and I'm just screaming like, "Oh, this is awesome!" Like I still haven't gotten over the fact that he can take our conversation, manipulate it, add a video, whatever, make it look like it's made in some, you know, and I'm to this day I'm the biggest fan of this guy.
But this is a good thing
Shout out,
that
my
you've
friend.
brought up, where you are a 3-man operation and you have one man who is
Mhm.
dedicated to like this marketing sort of keh sakte hain department.
Yeah.
Kazi and Uzair, we 3 are single person operations. Kazi, will you have someone assisting with the shooting?
Yes.
Uh,
With editing, yes.
Editing. Acha.
Shooting khud.
So would this be something that you consider? Like getting somebody to help with clips, trailers, hype, marketing. My wife
Absolutely.
does all our art.
No, anyway, absolutely. I would. But वही वाली बात है ना, like I said before, the minute it becomes feasible is the minute I'm hiring a team, is the minute I'm
Yeah.
renting out a studio. I really, मतलब वही वाली बात है, we've been speaking about this at length. I do think there's a future in this. Or at least I hope there's a future in this, inshallah. And you know, I want to be having conversations, and I want them to look better. And you know, ठीक है, मैंने बोला, I don't want to help people chew their food.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to someone helping them chew their food for me.
Yeah.
एक बीच
जाओ
वाला
उसका
बंदा हो जो
मुंह चलाओ जाके उसका.
जी please
Yeah.
just you know, help him. कोई पानी डाल दो उसके गले में, कोक पिला दो उसको, कुछ कर दो. Sure.
Yeah, and just to correct, like Tabad Labs team helps me with the episode artwork. My friend Danish, who's now in Toronto, he helped me with the visuals and getting all of those design things done. Jo production and Final Cut, I do it myself. I upload it, वगैरह. But yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to, and that's something we've been talking about at Tabad Lab as well. Is like, okay, we need to slowly be more quote unquote professional or productivize the podcast, right? With clips, with trailers, with things like that. We haven't done that yet because it's been a pandemic. It's just been crazy, but that's the goal.
So, segue, as always, मैंने एक और note कर दिया था, and this will be the last one, where Kazi, you said you want there to be a future for all of this. So, like, you know, we don't know about forever, but like, if you're looking at फिलहाल जिस तरह चीजें चल रही हैं, अगर ऐसे ही चलती रहीं, इसी pace of growth के साथ, इसी like calm structure के साथ, maybe you get someone to help with, you know, some of the PR and the marketing. How long are you doing this without like a huge bump, like without like a big propulsion forward? अगर ऐसे ही चलता रहे.
I would hope that I'm always doing this, and I think Uzair and Daniyal have also emulated this sentiment to some degree. I hope I'm always doing this. I would love to see a growth, na? I would love to do the best possible. मतलब जो zero क्या होता है वो जो the most unlikely possibility अगर वो हो जाए, अल्लाह करे हो जाए इंशाल्लाह. But I'm hoping कि, and I pray कि जो भी मेरी financial situation हो, it should allow for me to at least just do this once or twice a week. So even if nothing comes of it, I would like to continue doing it, because even now there are weeks when I'll record like 5 podcasts, and there's other weeks when I won't do a single one, just because मैं मसरूफ हूँ या guests नहीं हैं, जो भी है. So yeah, no, I hope to be doing this, inshallah.
Is it easy to guess? Are you still facing like any hesitation from people who are like, ये podcast क्या होता है, मुझे कहाँ बुला रहे हो तुम? Yeah, is that sorted?
Yeah, Ali bhai, it's less and less. It's less and less. But आप जो बोल रहे हो ना, वो the more I approach like people like police walas or people like, you can't get people from the armed services because उनका तो एक media wing होता है, and they can, not just anyone can come on. तो वो तो ठीक है. But like police walas or even politicians, so they do, like, they want PR. It's not that they don't want PR, but they're like, what do you mean podcast? What do you mean we can talk about whatever? No, I don't want to talk about whatever. I'm like, आप नाश्ते में क्या खाते हैं? नहीं भाई, मुझे ये नहीं बताना है. मुझे सिर्फ ये जो मेरा ओपोनेंट है पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का, ये बहुत एक फजूल आती है, मुझे ये बात करनी है. मैं बोल रहा हूँ, नहीं सर, देखिए ना, दूसरी बातें भी करते हैं. How did you get that Land Cruiser? मतलब 5 करोड़ रुपए. And they're just like, नहीं.
Like, मेरी service to Pakistan इतनी थी कि I deserve a 5 crore की. It's fucking 5 crore की है Land Cruiser?
5 crore. It's 5 crore.
Like, what do you have to create a whole new Pakistan, I think, to be worth that sort of money from the government. Daniyal, what's the thing? What's the future? Also, side question. A lot of people started podcasts last year, close to when we did, maybe a bit after. Many of those have stopped. Do you, ek to future bhi batao? And dusra, do you think it will be good for us, or you, if more people join the medium?
No, I think it'd be great if it's just the 4 of us.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I think that's best for business. Next thing, sab kuch cover, sports cover ho gaya. Kazi bhai does everything. Uzair bhai is the smart one here.
Yeah.
Ali bhai, you are also the smart one here. No, I'm kidding.
Some smart
also. Yeah.
By the way, side note, also from me, Uzair bhai, you're my hero, because this is the first time.
Yeah, pehle to bhai bolna band karo. We're all
Sorry. Uzair, Sir Uzair, you are my hero. And let me explain why. Because this is the first time I'm ever speaking to you directly. But bro, you do a podcast. I know how hard that is, and you've gone through the rigors of economics. Like, I did an undergrad degree in econ political science, and bro, I will never ever go near the word economics again. I'm done. I am done with the capital D, bro. Salute. अगर तुम मुझसे अभी पूछो ना, demand function कैसे affect होता है अगर interest rate बढ़ाओ, मैं कहूँगा I'm out. This podcast is I shit you not. Uzair, you are my hero. Sir Uzair, thank you. Anyway, back to the question. Back to the question. Yeah, I don't know if there's a future for this. Very honestly speaking, होता है कभी-कभी वो dark thoughts आते हैं where it's like, what are you doing this for? Like, eventually you're not gonna. Again, with the same thing with the other, I try not to concern myself with it. I truly believe, I don't mean to sound like a rip-off motivational speaker type boy jo keh raha hai, but but I really truly believe in the power of doing. Like, if you want to do something, and I know resources for everybody are much different, and this is stuff that motivational speakers don't take into account, how much capital you start with, stuff like that. But I truly believe that regardless of what your circumstances are, if you want to do something, just do it. If you want, if the achievable end is there, you will realize whether it's there or not after a certain point, and the achievable goal that you want for yourself also changes. I didn't start thinking, like there's going to be any money involved. We just hit monetization very recently. And it's like, wo jo $3 pade hue hain, like that brings a teardrop to my eye. Like, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Bro, मैं तुमसे बहुत सीनियर हूँ. मैं तुमसे बहुत सीनियर हूँ. मेरे $16 हैं. ठीक है? I could buy you out.
3x buyout, revenue multiple 3x.
काजी भाई आप तो छोड़ देना अभी आप इन हम peasants के
ये
साथ
काजी
बात
ने घर खरीद लिया, ये तुम देख रहे हो ना, दिस इज ऑल पार्ट
हाँ
ऑफ
क्या हो गया?
वो लैंड क्रूजर कहाँ से आया काजी भाई मुझे बताइए
अच्छा,
but my point being कि
Dian,
like
if you get a
you have
TV
to
show,
stop
if you get a TV show, would you do it? Like on an
uh,
existing sports whatever TV channel Pakistan ka, with all their hang-ups, affiliations, restrictions, whatever your perceptions might be, would you do it?
yes because Commissioner from Batman that
Oh,
he's the man he's the man dude like he went in to Gotham PD tried to fix that shit couldn't do it at least he tried I and
Commissioner
most
Gordon?
important
Acha, Gordon Ramsay. Oh my God.
no, not
No,
Gordon
अच्छा,
Ramsay
क्या हो गया?
sorry.
Not
No.
Gordon Ramsay.
All right, we're done with
Chef
these.
We get the
Gordon,
reference.
huh?
Yeah.
Bro, boom, that's my boy. And yes, if it's about MMA, I would do it. If it's about anything else, probably not. MMA, for sure, I would.
Uzair, what is your future, and how much does the Pakistanomy future link up with the Bad Labs or plans?
Yeah, so I think I would keep doing it as long as I can. Because I enjoy the conversation. There are still so many people I've never talked to, I want to talk to. And I think the best sort of support is from the guests, right? Who take out the time and are like, yeah, ye kaun banda hai DC se cold email kar raha hai ke aa jao podcast pe baat karte hain tumhari startup ke bare mein. And they take out the time, they come and join, they answer tough questions, they prepare for an hour long, sometimes more than an hour long conversation. So mera goal hai, I want to keep doing it. Again, does it get monetized or not? I would love it to be monetized and would love to do it as a full-time thing if it reaches that point, and would love for like there to be a podcasters conference in Pakistan, right? For the industry to mature to that level, right? When I was young, mere paas access nahi tha in is information ka, right? And so we're living in an age of democratized content. And if there is a younger version of me, 16-year-old, who can go on YouTube and search Pakistan's economy and find the 60 plus conversations and learn something from it. If there's just one kid, that's to me success. So I want to keep doing this because maybe it has a long tail effect where someone 30 years down the road will say, KR, I watched your podcast and through that I learned something and here I am. And I'm like, that's success. That's what matters. I would say Kazi and Daniyal would, and you would feel the same way, right? MMA ke andar koi inspire okay comes to be even bigger than any of us because they got inspired. I'm like, kudos, man, like great stuff.
And do you think you and Kazi both, Daniel's already answered, do you think Faida Hoga if more people join? Will that help in the acceptance of the medium, of the format? Yeah, like, do you even think more people will join?
I think, that would depend. I would say more people joining is good so long as the ethics of the format remain the way they've been so far by and large. अगर वही devolve हो गया, revert to the mean कि आप मिर्च मसाले वाली podcast सब कर रहे हैं, and then it's just like it becomes the other mainstream media version or the other Twitter version of what goes on, then I think it would be a loss. It would suck if that happened.
That is very specific to your area of expertise also. Just may, if there's like sort of like neutrality sort of ka focus agar hat jaye, so everything that is being discussed is colored by opinion.
Yeah.
But what about you, Kazi? Do you think more long form interview things agar log karna shuru kar dein, do you think that will help you?
It would like in way to piggyback off what Uzair bhai was saying. It needs to you would have to tell me who, like, because like we've already mentioned a lot of people have jumped on. Yeah. And they've done nothing for the medium or for conversations. They were already big deals. So फिर आपने क्या किया?
I'm very happy Kazi said this and not me.
No. देखो. But I have all the respect and love for them in the world as well.
नहीं.
आप लोग तो already बड़ी चीज़ हो ना, मैं तो हाँ, आप तो वैसे ही मेरे से तो ऊपर ही हो ना, मेरी क्या औकात है? लेकिन अगर आपने पॉडकास्ट भी करना था तो ठीक है, आपने कर लिया, लेकिन what did you add to the conversation? And I hope, I say this with fear in my heart. I hope I continue to always prioritize adding something to the conversation. क्योंकि उसके बगैर फिर like it doesn't make sense to do this otherwise.
Because you're caught up in your own hype, perhaps.
Yeah, and there's no money, right? There's no money.
Mashallah.
We're getting rich off this shit. So why do it? then?
$3 बन रहा है.
Yeah.
हाँ.
There's no risk of us being corrupted. कैसे करोगे हमें? Chale, guys, I think that's it. That's all the stuff I wanted to talk about. I'm keeping it tight. Is there anything somebody else had in mind that they want to talk about before we wrap? Anybody?
No, this has been great. Thanks for having us.
This was wonderful. This was
This
wonderful.
is-
Yeah.
पॉडकास्टिंग कॉन्फ्रेंस की जो बात की है ना, बस ये मेरे गेम्स जो है ना, बस ये सब उसी तरफ YouTube पैनल, पॉडकास्ट पैनल और भी होगा. And then
उज़ैर भाई ने बोला पॉडकास्टिंग कॉन्फ्रेंस अली भाई बोलते हैं.
उन्होंने इंटरनेट ही
Just
बंद
laugh.
कर दिया. अली भाई ने इंटरनेट ही बंद कर
ये
दिया
बात
पॉडकास्ट.
फाइनल एपिसोड में ये बात होगी नहीं. It'll be my idea. ठीक है जी. That is Daniyal, that's Kazi. I don't know how they're going to be on screen, but that's Uzair. They all have their shows, links to them, their shows, their personal profiles, home address, sab kuch in the description below.
What the fuck?
Wallet
No.
address सबसे important.
Yeah.
Wallet address.
Sock size, shoe size.
Yeah, sab kuch hai, sab kuch hai. All
Guys,
sizes.
before we wrap, I just want to say, love all three of you and the work you do. I was actually very humbled when Ali, you said that I get, and that's why I kept asking, like, who else is coming? Really, these guys? There. And when I looked up like Kazi and Uzair, and I saw like you guys are doing really good work. Thank you so much. Like, I felt freaking humbled to be here, and yeah, I just wanted to say thanks, guys. And this and you guys are really fun to talk to. I would love to have all of you on the show individually. if
Inshallah.
that's- I'm just gonna do it on
Inshallah.
air so you guys can't say no and then look like, you know,
Daniyal
assholes.
now has
So
$5 because it's
ए भाई पॉडकास्ट अपीयरेंस का कॉस्ट है $1 per appearance.
on the mic has $3. It's split in 3, so I have $1.
Oh,
One.
shit. Acha. Chale. On that note of Shadid Gurbat, we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching TPR Pod.